Welcome to the Mizell Show.
An inspiration for a new generation.
Hi, I'm Alanna Mizell, a loving mother of two, a devoted wife to Steven, and an entrepreneur helping women realize their dreams and potential.
And I'm Steven Mizell, caring father of two, a devoted husband to Alanna, and a driving force to help young men prepare for life after college football.
And if that wasn't enough, we're a biracial couple.
She was raised in the North, but I was raised in the South.
The only thing normal about our lives, who am I kidding? It's never normal around here. Join us for the Mizell Show.
Right now. Yo, Alanna, how's it going?
Hi.
Oh, what's that?
Ew, guys, we're wearing our wedding colors today.
Not intentionally.
Which is super funny because I'm now looking at them and...
You wouldn't pick those colors if we got married today.
Yeah, and on top of that, you don't like these colors, generally speaking.
But I have a shirt that I'm wearing that I like the color, so I mean, I must...
And you bought that one. I didn't buy it for you. Okay, that
drawn
makes
to
me feel
it.
better. I just was like, did I let you pick anything for my wedding?
No. I just signed up.
That's not true. You picked the cake.
And I picked the song that we came out to. That was it.
That's true. Okay. You picked your Vans and stuff in your suit. I didn't do that.
The suit was very largely placed on you.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, we
Had a good week?
We had a good week. We're kind of wanting to start like a new thing.
Oh, yeah. Kind of a new thing.
Newish thing.
Something you can look forward to a little bit more in the Mizell Show.
So, we're kind of restructuring the way that our episodes go. And I think it's going to be fun.
Yeah. Or you just not tune in.
Well, that's sad. Okay.
I think they'll like it. I mean...
Like, if we... What?
Yeah, I mean...
We don't really... I was going to say, if we lose viewers, listeners...
We wouldn't know because we just put out a podcast and we just let people listen and tune in.
Yeah, literally. That's so funny.
Yeah.
So, this past week...
Yes. I started a new book called The Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell, which is fascinating because I don't typically read. But when I do read, it's usually pseudo-motivational or something by Malcolm Gladwell. So this book was given to me by a good friend by the name of Sherman Wilson. So shout out to Sherm. 2 years later, I'm finally reading the book. So...
Steven is not the reader.
I'm not the reader, but hey, you know, at the end of the day, it's a good book.
Yeah.
I look forward to keeping our audience updated about how it goes. But so
over
far,
the next
so good.
2 years.
Bro. I guess they can hold me accountable. Be like, tune in, like, Steven, are you on chapter 2 yet? I'm actually on chapter 3 right now.
Okay.
But it's good.
Now you just benchmarked yourself.
Benchmark myself,
You
yes.
could have gotten to 4 next time.
I'm going for 6 next time.
Whoa, hey, doubling progression.
Let's go.
Y'all better watch out.
It's good, though. I've enjoyed it. And Malcolm
so
Gladwell
funny.
is probably one of my top 5 people out there.
His, like, when he speaks, I think it's better than reading. There are certain authors that I'm like, I gotta just listen to that versus...
I get that.
So, I finished a book called Verity.
This is her 9th book of the year. I must call that out.
No, it's not. That was my 7th completed.
Well, by the time they hear this, it might be your 9th.
Stop. Yeah, it actually might be. No, so I finished that, and it is a twisted book. Somebody had warned me, saying, I don't know if you should read that just with my past and things like that. And it wasn't triggering to me. It wasn't like a trigger trap, but...
It was twisted.
It was twisted.
I love to let Alanna read and just give me the recaps. Like, just give me
That's
the
what
cliff
we
notes.
do a lot of times.
That's what we do sometimes.
That's what, I'm like, guess what just happened? And I'm also listening to Jessica Simpson's book, Open Book.
Yeah.
And I'm shocked at how much I like it.
Is she reading it or somebody else?
She's reading it.
Awesome. I love when people read their own books.
Yes. You hear the points where she gets emotional.
Ooh,
kind of throughout it. Like, you can hear the heartache.
Yeah.
And how it still pains her. She also talks a lot about her struggle with anxiety, her abuse as a child, which I had no idea.
Me
her
either.
body image issues that the world has put on her.
Mm-hmm.
So many things. Her struggles becoming a mom, getting divorced was never in her plan. She was America's sweetheart, the virgin before she got married and all those kinds of things. So it's absolutely fascinating. There's been tidbits kind of along the way.
Is she remarried?
She is remarried and has 3 kids.
I didn't know that.
She's married to Eric Johnson, who was an NFL player.
Was an NFL player?
Yeah.
I have no... I mean, I didn't... all I knew was her and Nick.
He's from Needham, Massachusetts, and went to Yale. If you're curious.
Good to know. I
learned all that in the book. Yeah.
One thing that's fascinating about Jessica Simpson that I respect from afar is that I love how people always say you should never go like one mainstream income. You should have multiple things.
Yeah.
And for her, tapping into Newlyweds before it was even a thing in terms of reality shows.
Yeah.
Had the little, career in acting. She was in music too, right?
That's how she started. So she was a pop singer first.
Pop singer, Newlywed, but her biggest hustle is her clothing line.
Yeah, so so she started as a pop singer. It went into Newlyweds. Newlyweds' success ended up launching her into her clothing line being so successful.
Got it.
But what's made her clothing line so successful is it was size inclusive before size inclusive was a thing.
Nice.
She quickly, once she got pregnant, realized that there were not maternity clothes out there that were cute and comfortable at the same time. Launched a clothing line, like a maternity clothing line, and then launched a kids line.
Got it.
So she started with shoes because she was known for always wearing high shoes because she's 5'3". We're actually the same height. Fun fact. And Vince Kimono, who's a renowned shoe person, helped her with her shoe line. And her shoes are so comfortable.
Yeah.
I have 2 pairs of her shoes.
2 pairs of shoes. Yeah.
And now her clothing line has passed $1 billion in sales.
What do you say? I appreciate
Sister hustle.
She's hustling. I appreciate that.
She also gives back a ton that people don't realize that she does. Because she's chosen, after her divorce, she really tried to not be in the limelight anymore.
And she really is pretty low-key. And so I'm glad you're enjoying
Same
that
with
book.
Eric. That's why you probably didn't know that they were married.
I had no idea that she was remarried.
Yeah.
But also, I'm kind of naive to a lot of things. But no, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're enjoying that
great book. Ladies, if you want to listen to it. Men, if you want to hear about what it's like to be in a woman's head, go ahead and listen to it. It's super deep.
It's deep?
Super deep.
Well, maybe I'll give it a listen after I finish Malcolm Gladwell.
Oh, after. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So 2 years.
Yeah.
There you go.
Circa 2026.
Hey, you got to start somewhere. You never know.
Okay. What about TV?
We're watching NCIS right now.
Like the whole thing, We're almost done with the whole thing of NCIS.
We have tapped into Paramount Plus. It's been fun. And
no, it was fun until Jethro's now gone.
Yeah, Jethro's gone now. So
Jethro is my grandfather.
Alana said the other night we were watching the show. She's like, I feel like my grandfather's gone. I'm like, who? She's like, Jethro again. I'm like, what? So Jethro's gone, and again, we're spoiling this for you.
He's got so much wisdom.
So sorry. Yeah, he's a lot of wisdom and a lot of baggage.
We knew he was gone.
Yeah, everybody.
We're not ruining anything for anybody.
Yeah.
But I will ruin that Ellie on the show and Nick did not get together.
They did. Hold on.
But
they got together, but you didn't see it. And
it wasn't a woven love story, and I am over it.
Alana is spoiled, capital spoiled by Shonda Rhimes. That always shows.
Oh, just Shonda Rhimes, not in my real life.
Well, yes, your real life. I'm saying TV wise. So the key with NCIS is that there was a love story, but they never showed it, and you didn't see it till one scene where they went to Ellie's apartment.
Yeah, that's trash.
Nick had things that were there. You're like, oh, so they did hang out. But, you're used to the Shonda Rhimes flow where you're seeing it.
I just don't understand why you wouldn't show it for me.
I mean, this is true.
It's not about anybody else.
She was very devastated that they never showed it. She was happy that they had something, but they never showed it at all.
And every time we start watching another episode, I'm like, oh, if Nick gets with that girl, I'm going to be so mad.
Yes, so...
I'm waiting for Ellie to come back.
A new girl has...
She doesn't come back.
She does not come back.
Like, I know she doesn't.
But they're still teasing you with Jethro Gribb's real actor, Mark Harmon's. He's in the intro still, and he hasn't been in the episode.
Yeah, like, what?
So why is he still there?
I don't know. I got to see my grandfather.
Yes, that's what we're watching right now.
I'm going to go back and restart it
NCIS,
so I can see Jethro 20 years ago.
So it's been good. Watch that.
And I started watching Station 19.
Who is that by?
Shonda.
Yes.
No, it's actually not.
It is by Shonda Land.
No, it's not. It's by Shonda Land, but Shonda didn't write it. It's her writers. It's the Grey's writers.
So Shonda's influence.
Y'all, I've also seen every episode of Grey's Anatomy.
And she's also about to boycott Grey because Grey's now gone.
I've thought about it. I literally was like toying with it in my head, like, do I stop watching? But like I made it through Derek leaving.
But Derek wasn't as pitiful as Meredith. The show is called...
He was at the time.
Her name is Meredith Grey. And it's Grey's Anatomy. Like, how do you carry the show without...
I know. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't watch that foolishness. I just let it.
You did.
But I always pause and get soaked in. Then I ask for the Cliff Notes. So I guess
it's because it is so.
I watch
good.
it vicariously through you.
It's just like the books.
Hey, why read when I have Alanna? Like, she just reads it for me. Also, before we
Stephen actually reads chick flicks. If you didn't know,
I listen to chick flicks through you.
Did you know that I sell makeup? Not only do I sell makeup, but the makeup that I sell is 3D makeup, which allows you to highlight and contour your face in a super simple compact. As a mom, I could not survive without my simplified routine. Not only that, but it's exactly what you need. Exactly when you need it, all in one spot. Go ahead and check out Alanna Mizell on Instagram or alannamizell.com to learn more.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with admitting that I listen to chick flicks through you, and this is also the same girl that got the Bridgerton book box and finished it in 4 days.
No, I finished the last 4 in 4, not 4 days.
It was like 4 days.
It was quick, but it wasn't 4 days.
So the last box you got was only 4?
Was only the last 4.
And then you're done with it now.
So there's this company called Once Upon a Book Club.
Okay.
And they did a special Julia Quinn series. Like, cover is limited edition, the 9s.
The 9s.
And what they do is throughout your book, you get little gifts. Sometimes they're good gifts. Sometimes I'm like, I'm never going to use that. But it's fun.
It is fun.
A lot of times Adele loves the gifts.
I love those gifts. I like the gifts to ask, like, what did this chapter come with?
Why did, like, it always relates to the story.
Yeah.
So that they did that with they broke it into 2 sections. The first 4 and then the second 4 books. And I read the second 4 so fast. And now I'm done. And
now, here's the kicker, people. She is now having to wait on Netflix to, like, catch up to your books you've read.
To release season 3. And I'm so irritated.
And it's 3 of 8. If they go through 8, right? Oh, sorry.
That's not funny.
Too soon.
That's not funny.
But also, speaking of this past week...
Knowing Shonda, she signed an 8 series.
I'm sure, like, why would you not? Like, that's huge. Know. But also, it goes back to the actors and everything else, because that's one thing that we were so surprised with season 2, that the black guy just left.
Yeah, but he's not really in the book.
He's not in the book anymore? Okay.
No.
So just focused on the girl anyway.
They mentioned him, like, once or twice, but not really.
Okay, so he was literally there for the first season.
More times than not, Daphne is her name.
Yeah.
She ends up being in scene in the books, but he's not
not there with them.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, he's a duke, so he's got to, like, run his land or whatever stars they did.
Back in the day.
But
also, exciting news this past week. I started seeing a new therapist.
Yes.
Very excited about him.
That's huge news.
It's huge news. But also kind of morbid news. You know.
Okay, wait. Go back. Why did you decide to start seeing a therapist now?
My other therapist died.
Okay. I know that.
I'm just saying, but you think it through, like.
So since Steven decides to jump and not answer my question, we found out when he was looking to go back to his old therapist.
Yeah.
That his therapist passed away. And
she was really good with, like, texting back, because we had talked through with our trauma, capital T trauma that we have been through. Like, hey, is it time? And Alanna always does a very good job of not pushing me, but giving subtle conversations. And
our most recent miscarriage, is that what you're talking about?
Most recent miscarriage, the ruptured bicep, all the things that happened. It's like, hey, you might want to talk to somebody, but it wasn't like you need to, or I'm not going to do this until you go to therapy or something. It wasn't
holding it as collateral.
Like, hey, you're not. No, she didn't force me to go, but it was one of those gentle conversations for us to do it. Therapy, that is. And so I reached out to her, and she was always good about texting back, and she didn't text me back. I'm like, okay.
Your therapist. I text back.
Is she? Yeah, I'll text back. My therapist. I'm like, is she ghosting me? And so then I sent an email, no response. I'm like, was I a bad client? I thought we had a good repertoire.
Steven's going into abandonment.
Abandonment from my therapist. And so then, unfortunately, I got an email from her practice and said that she had passed away, and I was like, man, that is tough, you know?
Yeah, and that's the second time that somebody there was this other waitress at a place that we used to go to all the time. We asked her where she was because she was a staple at this restaurant that we went to all the time. Like the first restaurant we brought Adele to after she was born. We're like, oh, we can go to this place.
And it was like one of our it was like a staple for us being newlyweds. And like we would go there on a Saturday morning. All the time. Yeah, all the time.
Because it wasn't too far from our house. Our parents would meet us there, yada, yada. But we just found out she had a heart attack and died.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness. And so
Did we go back?
We went back when
more time.
They closed after COVID and they went to reopen and then it just didn't work out. And so then I went back to, I reached out to another therapist group that I had met with before the therapist, and they just didn't get back to me. And when you have an inkling that this is the time to do something, you kind of have to stop.
Once you've decided it's time to go to therapy, you got to go.
You got to go to therapy.
Because the time's going to pass.
It's going to pass.
And you're going to be like, I got this now.
And so I went to my therapist.
And you don't. By the way, you don't.
You don't. I went to my therapist this week, and it was a really good conversation, and I kind of walked him through everything. He was very surprised, but he's like, so she died? I'm like, yeah. He's like, so how did you find us?
His therapist is who Steven is talking about.
The one I just met with this past week, and he asked me, he was like, how did you find us? And I was honestly, well, I went to your website, and I just swiped right. I mean, he was like, what? And I was like, when you go to a therapist's page, you read the bio and you just see if it's a good fit. And I just swiped right, and he just died laughing. And he was like, well, I appreciate you going to our Tinder for Therapists website. And I was like, but realistically, I had to find a good fit, and I found him. And so,
so after first session
was really good.
We're liking it. He laughed at your joke.
He laughed
Always
at my joke.
Important.
And I also grilled him. I was like, I want to make sure that I'm a good fit for you, because you can't just. I know a therapist is your job and you want income, but you can't just pick up every person. There might be people that don't fit. Might not work out, and so
there will be people that
will be fit. Yeah, exactly.
To think that every single person, like, there's more multiple therapists.
Yes,
that's not there to be one.
Yeah, exactly. Telling you there's one real therapist.
Okay. Well, he's ordained others.
Yes, he has. There you go, ordained others. But it was really good. So I do plan on circling back with him, and being able to start a bi-weekly cadence with them, hopefully, just kind of go. But one thing that I truly came out of therapy, a lot of things I came out of, it was only 40, 50 minutes. One thing I came out of is he mentioned the journey that we have been on, and he said a lot of times in life, your limitations can be a blessing if you stop and recognize them. And that hit me so hard, because through the journey that we have been through, from our career changes to the miscarriage to all the changes we've gone through, I feel like I never allowed myself or you to recognize our limitations and see them as blessings. And I say that because when you find a limitation in whatever facet you're going through, you're usually going to find someone to lean on. You're going to find an expert. You're going to go see a therapist. You're going to go do something. But if you don't recognize that limitation, you're going to go through I'm going to work through this. I can just push through this and I'll just be stronger. But no, you can't push through everything. This limitation is there for a reason. So let's look at a outside perspective of how you can grow from it.
Yeah, I think what's interesting about what you just said is, like, if you actually equate that to, say, sports or school, might be an even better example. So Adele kind of struggled to catch on to reading. And so as parents, we were like, well, I can't help her.
Yeah.
So we reached out to a resource that we know, which is Steven's aunt, to have her help start teaching her how to read. She's a retired teacher. And so it's almost like when you hit limitations, we've been taught and trained to actually reach out.
Yeah.
So go get a tutor, go get a different coach, go get an individualized, personalized coach, go get a real estate agent when you're looking for a house because you're like, I'm overwhelmed. Go to an attorney if you need a
legal help.
Help. There are specialties like this. But I feel like with therapy, when it's an emotional limitation or a psychological limitation, we're like, oh, I can do that on my own.
Yeah. I
can use all these other things to push it down so far that I don't want to address my limitations.
Yeah, and so one thing you mentioned is the fact that a lot of times also we are quick to recognize someone else's limitation and give them advice. Oh, hey, you're struggling with that. I know somebody. I got you. But when it comes to yourself, you never want to do that self-reflection and be like, man, this is a limitation. And I honestly feel that in the industry that I am now stepping my foot in, this is probably the first time that I have been surrounded by people that, I guess superficially, because I don't know like their home life or anything, but through work, they really recognize their limitations and they go find the help.
Yeah. What's interesting about where we work is I will totally piggyback that. And I also think it's a very unique company in that people really aren't trying to gloat about what they're doing. They aren't trying to overperform. They're literally trying to just do their job at 100%.
Yeah.
Not 110, not at the expense of something else.
Not at the expense of a relationship
Literally,
or a friendship at work.
just 100%.
Yeah, 100%.
Never have I ever been in an environment the way that I am right now. It's so healthy.
Yeah.
But also shows you how unhealthy you are.
Oh, yes. When I look back in terms of my, because that's something that my therapist asked me to dive into. Again, it was only 50 minutes, so you couldn't get too deep.
Going to a therapy session makes you feel like you got hit by a vulnerability train wreck.
Yeah, a few trains.
Yeah, straight to the head.
But one thing I realize is that in the other industries that I've been in previous to this, it was always a competition, cover up your limitations by working harder, and don't let anybody, quote unquote, know that they're smarter than you. And I feel like in life, if we all come together, here I go on a tangent, come together. If you come together, we find a group of people, and you have that group of people, and everybody knows what they feel comfortable with doing, and they don't, and they're okay with reaching out to the people that can help them. How much more different would your circle of friends be, or your small group?
But I think that's how God intended it.
Because
like if you look at the 12 disciples, none of the 12 are the same.
Nope.
So they're all uniquely designed in that fact set, and I think that was the truest picture of friendship, even down to the friend that stabs you in the back.
Yeah.
And like, inevitably, you can give your all to all 12 of your friends.
Yeah.
And somebody could still stab you in the back.
Yeah.
But it's interesting also that you say that, because I think, so I have this group of friends from home, and we've known each other, y'all, so long. Some of us have known each other.
Grade school?
Since first grade. Since first grade. The last of us met in 8th grade. So all of us have known each other since 8th grade.
8th grade.
Which is a very long time.
Very long time.
Like, we were 13, so almost 20 years have we known each other. And, which is, it has been 20 years. It's crazy. But I think we've always been like that. We've always been in our silos, but also collectively together. Mm-hmm. Even from, like, sports. Like, most of us play different sports. We were never all on the same team. There was a couple of us that played soccer. I played completely different sports than everybody. Mm-hmm. But it was almost like we owned our craft so well. And even into what our jobs ended up being, they're so individually unique, but we rely on each other so much. Mm-hmm. When something happens, we're like, hey, I know this person who knows that. And if they don't know it, they know somebody. Yeah. And I think that's so critical in your personal life, but also your work life. And also as parents, to teach our kids that limitations are almost good.
Yes.
Like, they're something to be embraced, something to be celebrated, just as much as your strengths are.
No, I agree with that. That's something that, you have these conversations, and they're not, like, all the ways eye-opening, but it's like, man, it was refreshing. Like, this is so refreshing to know this. And then you're able to teach, Adele and Briggs, and you teach your circle. And I also, now that you say that, maybe that's why your group has lasted so long. Like, you guys have had your ups and downs, but you guys have always known that you know your strengths and who plays to what strength, and you're okay with, quote unquote, falling on your face to say, hey, today I am being a bad parent. I am going to reach out to XYZ friend because she's not going to shame me. She's going to give me the guidance and support I need to be a better parent.
Yeah.
I am limited in this knowledge of parenting. I'm limited in this aspect of my life.
Yeah.
Who can I reach out to without them being like, whoa, why'd you do that? It's like, oh, well, here's another way to do it. And it helps uplift that person.
And on top of that, there's been plenty of times that one or two of us have completely disagreed in a situation. Yeah. And yet nobody leaves.
No.
No, everybody hangs tough. Nobody leaves. Which is mind-blowing to me. Because I see so many relationships that people would have just stormed out.
And you've had so many relationships. We've had so many relationships that we have thought or felt like this is going to be the one. Like we're going to ride. And then all of a sudden it doesn't and things in life happens. But I do agree with you from that standpoint of like it's been steady. And I think it's also remarkable that you guys have been doing it but not knowing that you've been doing it. Yeah. You know? And shout out to those girls who have been there for Alanna and this group. She is now tearing up on the podcast.
It's fine.
We're fine. We're fine. Hey.
We're fine. I actually put makeup on today.
Maybe we should do a group call and introduce our podcast friends to your circle.
Oh my gosh, we'd never get through it.
You would never get through it.
It would be the most hysterical
It would be hilarious.
Ever.
And that was one of the few groups that you also did the FaceTimes during COVID and everything. Like you guys did.
We had quite a few FaceTimes, and life just gets in the way. But during COVID, there was no life.
You could have a life.
Yeah. So we had, I don't know, it was like bi-weekly almost FaceTimes, and half the time people would be jumping in, running out. You'd be hearing kids in the background, but it's so worth it. And like even now we're talking about being able to do like Steven doesn't know this, but a family trip, everybody's families all together, which may be utter insanity.
Hey, you know what? If we make this happen, we will. It was so fun and so awesome. But to kind of circle it back, we want to give you guys kind of a new intro to the Mizell Show, and we enjoy this because we also get to share our life updates and how our week or couple weeks are going. And that's how we want to be able to change it. And if you stop listening, that's your loss.
Don't tell them that's an option.
No, it's not an option.
No,
keep subscribing.
I also think it's important to kind of take away that to write down what your limitations are and then fill in either a person or a resource you have that can help balance that limitation.
Yeah. And be okay with the limitation. If you need help, please reach out to us. We'll be happy to talk you through it. And not saying that we're the resource, but we might say something or make you feel a certain way. Like, oh, I had no idea this person actually is in my group or circle and they would be ideal for it, but I just never thought that I could go to them or think it'd be that comfortable.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you guys. Is it Alanna? You got another?
Thank you.
So if you guys are enjoying this, definitely leave us a review. Give us the feedback. If there's something you guys want us to talk about, reach out to us on our website at themizellshow.com. There is a contact section. You can put it in there. We would love to hear about it. Or you can always go over to Instagram at The Mizell Show. Also, as always, don't forget to screenshot this episode and just add it to your stories and tag us on Instagram, on Facebook at The Mizell Show. Thanks, guys. Are you loving The Mizell Show? Well, we love you all. And did you know that you can have me and Steven talk to your team or a group of 25 of your friends? All it takes is 25 people showing up on either a Zoom call, a Facebook Live, or really anywhere. Hopefully in person sooner rather than later. But how do you get us? So all you have to do is email themizellshow@gmail.com, or you can direct message us on Instagram at The Mizell Show.